Growing up in Thibodeau, grew up in Marydale, which was really like the projects. Where we stayed, we had a concrete slab. Guys came up and put up 2 goals. So this is how we grew up. This was like the only thing in the neighborhood. A lot of the guys that I played high school with, were in the neighborhood, or that, we looked up to that played at Thibodeau High as well, lived in the neighborhood. Calvin Hamilton was one. Mark Savoy, Patrick Savoy's brother, oldest brother. We looked up to those guys. The guys that live in Midland would come to Marydale to have a game. So it's like a rival, like, okay, we're gonna bring our team to come play you guys. And so that's how we grew up watching those guys. That they started that tradition. Then they say, well, okay, we're gonna take it to MLK Park. We're gonna take it to Pelche Park. So we started going to different parks because of my brothers, they were basketball players. All my cousins who went to Thibodeau High, who, set records, they, were basketball players, and that's all they talked about was basketball, basketball, basketball. So it was just like, okay, you're gonna be playing basketball. We played on Biddy. That was our first, organized experience of learning how to play as far as like with other individuals that wasn't from your neighborhood. I played the point, and I mean, playing for the Haydales back then, like they really were no nonsense, strict to, if you didn't do what I asked you to do, then you wasn't gonna play. Coming under that era of, their coaching style, I think really helped me, because I wasn't the best, but they always told me, keep working, keep working, keep working, keep working. 8th grade hit, they was like, okay, we're starting to see something now, it's coming out. Still short, still just the average height. 9th grade, I felt myself get a little taller. 10th grade, a little bit taller. By the time I hit the 11th, like the summer of my 10th grade year, I had grew like 5 inches. Now my point guard skills was already there because I was short. Now that I'm tall, they was just like, just use your point guard skills to play, down low, do everything. And so that's what made me just an all-around player. Played a lot, but played behind a lot of guys, that were seniors that were, that could play. Jeff Brown, Fred Brown. And they held us accountable, being older because they wanted to win. And, the big goal was state championship. We were going to see y'all at some point, whether state championship, quarterfinals, semifinals. We knew we was going to have to see y'all. We knew that, you guys were always in the mix. One of those teams in the state that was always in the mix. By them being able to pick out of a pool of, all the players in New Orleans, it gave them an upper hand. Visited a few schools in high school. Ended up going to Washington State. Got to Washington State. Nice campus. Called my mom, like, listen, I like everything about the school. I like the coaches. One of the coaches was from New Orleans, so it made it even, better. So I was like, okay. We signed. I took 4 planes to get to Pullman, Washington. It's no way in the world my mom is taking 4 planes to come see me play basketball. My family, my mom, like that's my A1, that's my number 1. So it's like, okay, did I make a bad decision? What other options are there? I signed, you know what I mean? So once you sign, you have to, you're committed. You're committed to the school, so you have to go to that school. You can go to junior college. I said, well, if that's as long as I can play, and you know what I mean, I'm in school, that's all my mom wanted, that's fine, let's go. Now, this situation, it has to make sense. It has to make sense, for me. It has to make sense for my family as far as, travel-wise. We got a full scholarship for you, and we got a full scholarship for your cousin. And I'm like, are y'all for real? Like, is this a joke? He's like, no, we're for real. Still end up being homesick because after maybe 3 weeks of him being there, he got homesick and came home. I was like, listen, I got to tough it out. It was good. I mean, the town was small. Like I said, it was more of an atmosphere like home or Thibodeau. Now you're in college, so everybody can play. You know what I mean? Everybody's good. Going to Howard, every guy that they recruited was an All-American from another state. So I'm like, okay, I'm at a school with supposedly the best of the best from each state. And so once I seen that, I can be on the same level, if not better than them, then I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. And the coach seen it from day one. Like I said, being at Howard really helped me to, find myself. I was really going to Oklahoma State. Just Eddie Sutton and, his track record and, knowing that how many individuals he helped to get to the NBA. My assistant coach at Howard happened to be offered the Texas Tech job. I say, this is what you said you wanted, to move up, you know what I mean? Congratulations. He said, but I want to take you with me. I don't know. I say, I'm really, stuck on Oklahoma State. Everything. He said, well, look, sit down and have a conversation with Coach Dickey. So lo and behold, having a conversation with head coach, Coach Dickey, Texas Tech. He was like, yeah, when Eddie Sutton was at Kentucky, I was his top assistant coach. It's like, okay. So he started telling me all these stories of Chris Mills and, this guy and that guy. And so I'm like, okay. Let me talk about it with my mom. We'll talk it over. And my mom loves Coach Ping. She, because, like I say, he was the reason that I ended up going to Howard in the first place. So that rapport, so I'm like, okay. So he was like, I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry about that. He's in good hand. I took care of him for 2 years already. 2 more won't be a problem. I say, you were loyal to me, you know what I mean, and trusted me when nobody else did. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna come to Tech. Defense, was always my key, of getting on the floor. If defense is gonna get me on the floor, I just wanted to be on the floor. And it's the only way to be seen is to be on the floor. My junior year was really the year where Coach Dickey was like, yo, a lot of NBA guys are at the game. They're calling, they're asking about GMs, want to know about you. They're trying to see if you're coming out, you staying in. I had promised my mom, like, okay, I was going to get my college degree. Like, I'm going to stay in school 4 years. I wasn't going to leave early. Looking back, if I'd have came out my junior year, I probably would have, been taken higher, but probably wouldn't have had the longest stint. Minnesota was a good experience. Kevin McHale, a legend, as the GM, you know what I mean, in the front office. So a great stepping stone to kind of mature me into the league. I came in with I was with a lot of veterans, a lot of older veterans. It was me, Kevin Garnett, Jerome Allen as 3 rookies coming in. I learned a lot, learned the game, learned the ins and outs and, how to conduct yourself as a professional, because you're here today and you're going tomorrow. They really, wanted to sign me to a long-term deal. It was just that my agent, him and Kevin McHale clashed at some point, but we can't get along with your agent. So, since we can't do that, we don't want you, you know what I mean? We'll move on. First person I thought about was Dr. J. I'm like, okay, I'm 76, it's Dr. J. I'm gonna get to see Julius. I can't wait, So going to Philly, that was the first person that I met when I got there was, Dr. J coming from Thibodeau and saying, this is your idol. And, meeting him, really, really meeting him, a legend. It was just unbelievable. 76ers, they just had a new owner. Pat Croce just came in and bought the team. We had a first time head coach, Johnny Davis. Didn't know what to expect. We had a rookie that was coming in. We didn't know, Allen Iverson, we didn't know what to expect. Stack was in his second year. I was in my second year, which came out. Allen was in his first year. 98 was my best year personally, and I'm saying that because I honestly think that I should have been sixth man of the year. Like that was like 97 was good. I was runner up, but 98, I knew that just the confidence that the coaches had in me, the confidence that I had in myself, it was so surreal. I mean, to be on the court, with these guys, like just unrealness, especially with Mike. He was, that's when the Jordan era just was like, he couldn't do no wrong. You might see him this game, he's Michael Jordan. You might see him this game and he's like unbelievable Michael Jordan. You see him this game and he's like unstoppable Michael Jordan. After 8, to 15, like you say, you're looking over your shoulder. At any given time, you could be tossed in the trade with somebody else in that top 7, top 8. The organization, they just ran different. You know what I mean? They all have their different styles of how they run, their organization, their particular organization. Like I know how for Miami, their organization is, Pat Riley runs his totally different. Everybody's going to be at practice. Everybody's going to be held accountable. Everybody's going to meet the weight. That was the only organization that I seen hold 1 through 15 accountable. And I'm smiling because I'm just thinking about some of the experiences that I had, just playing in different countries and meeting different people. If I'm making what I'm making in Europe and I'm making an NBA, of course I'm not home, but I was looking at the fact of I'm not playing 82 games. I'm making the same amount there, playing less games. I'm home early, So it was like, this is lucrative, same, as the NBA, tax-free. Looking back on it, going to Europe, playing in Europe, I think really helped me to help people right now. And so now a lot of the coaches and a lot of the GMs, they call and like, hey, any players, you have any players, we're looking for this type of player, any players in this area, any players in that area. I own a workout a business that I do training with kids and adults. We teach the fundamentals of basketball. We teach fundamentals that's needed mentally. That's the thing that I feed to the kids. I ask them, how much time are you putting in the gym? And they're like, what do you mean? That's going to let me know, what type of player you really want to be, or what type of player you don't want to be. Without this, I could have been in a lot of different places, that just sticking with this basketball kept me out of a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? Just being, because it was nothing for us to do but get in trouble. I really like the path that I took, and I don't think I would do anything different. I don't think I would change a whole lot about it. Maybe a few things here and there in the league, but for the most part, no.